with all of these professional skills workshops, uh, everyone's approaching it from a different place. We have people from different teams here. We have people who have seen some of this content related to vision, mission, and goals perhaps 4 times, um, and other people who are seeing it for the first time. So when we do have our breakout rooms, when we are sharing out, do keep all of that in mind. It's an opportunity for those of you more familiar with this content to guide those less familiar, and for all of us to provide space for each other to share our ideas, because that's how we can learn this content better and figure out how to apply it to our teams. So given that, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Schultz, who's going to be facilitating and presenting today's session. And we might be joined by a co-presenter. We'll see. We'll keep an eye out here. But otherwise, take it away.
All right. I'm gonna apologize in advance. My allergies are kicking my booty, so I may have to. I'll try and go on mute if I have to clear my throat, but I'm gonna apologize for that. Um, our professional development theme this year has been around rediscovering the why behind what we do, and that's not just leadership jargon. It's essential for us because roughly 25% of our team turns over every year, right? So we're pretty good at passing on the what we do, the robot, the code, scouting, but we risk losing the why that gives it all meaning. And so our vision, mission, and goals help us retain that connection between the what and the why. And so that's going to be our focus today. So our list of topics, what we hope to cover in this session. We're going to go through what a vision is, what a mission is. We're going to talk about how we turn them into objectives and goals. And we'll see how they help us lead our team during the season. Um, my hope is that this session will be interactive, not a lecture. So I'm looking to all of you to join in and contribute. There's quite a few slides, pages here where we're going to ask for some input, and so we want you to participate. We may call on some people randomly as we go through the session. It's not a knowledge check. We're not trying to test you. It's okay to say you don't know, but one of our goals here is to ensure that we all stay aligned as we look toward the next season. If you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Mr. Schmidt will be monitoring that. Raise your hand if you want to speak up and say something. Again, Mr. Schmidt will kind of call that out and we'll let everybody in. With that said, Mr. Schmidt sent out a note earlier, so hopefully everyone has seen this image before or something like it. It's referred to as the Golden Circle from Simon Sinek, um, who's big in business leadership. And so there was a TED Talk that was shared a little bit earlier. Um, I guess from a show of hands, who all watched that and is ready for that conversation? So seems like a small number. All right. So what we're going to do is take a quick second. We're going to play a couple minutes from that video that's important to the conversation, and then we'll step back into this slide.
About three and
Hopefully
a
everybody
half
can hear
years
that.
ago, I made a discovery. And this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one?
All right, we're going to pause that there. So hopefully what you got out of that description was that there are some important bits, right, about how we communicate who we are and what we do. Mm. And those things help inspire others and ensure that we're all working in the same direction. As Simon says, everybody's standing up. Never mind. Every organization can tell you what they do, right? That's the easy part. The products they make, the services they offer, the events they run. You probably interact with most organizations because of what they do, right? A store that sells something that you need, a restaurant because you like the food, or even this team because we build robots. But few people, even inside those organizations, can clearly say why they do what they do. Over time, that connection between the why and the what tends to fade. The people who started the organization knew the purpose that drove them to create the company. But as years go by and new people join, that purpose often gets diluted or lost. The why isn't about making money or winning trophies, right? Those are results. Those are the whats. The why is the belief or the cause that gives meaning to what we do, the reason we exist in the first place. So step back for a second and think about a company, a club, or an activity that you're involved in. Do you know why it exists? Or do you just know what it does? So here's a quick example, right? So if we start with the why, thinking about this from a robotics perspective, right? We build confidence through competition as opposed to the how, which is we mentor, iterate, and collaborate versus the what, right? If people asked us about our team, most of the time we're going to focus on that what bit, right? We're going to tell them we design and compete with robots, but they won't know why we do that. That won't inspire them to maybe join the team or maybe sponsor us as a team. So getting to the why is important to get people emotionally connected. So think about some things within your group, your team, your sub team. What do those look like? Throw them in the chat. When you think about what your team does or what your sub team is, can you describe the why for why that sub team exists? Your purpose? Or is what you're describing the things that you do, the what's? So go ahead and throw some things in the chat. Anybody? How about one of the captains? Well, that's a good one. And Weeda talking about getting experience to industry level tools to students with for CNC experience. Software's writing code for the robot. Mentors to inspire students. Good job. I like that one, Jesse. Thanks, Evie. Right. So as we go through this conversation and as you guys start to think about goals for the season, we're going to want to try and focus on the whys, right? And the hows and make sure that we connect some of those dots. And so that gets to the heart, excuse me, of why this conversation matters, right? We speak a lot in terms of vision and mission and objectives and goals. And this is how they connect back to that golden circle, right? Vision focuses on why, and sometimes we see that why bleed over a little bit into mission. Mission focuses on how, and we see that bleed into objectives. The what is covered by goals, and further downstream, you may see that also picked up by strategies and tactics, right? Things that we're actually going to do to make those things real. Um, Anybody know who Lewis Carroll is? Anybody want to throw that in the chat? What's Lewis Carroll famous for? Do we stump people? Anybody ever read Alice in Wonderland? Jabberwocky. So Lewis Carroll wrote Alice in Wonderland, and there's a nice conversation that goes on between Alice and the Cheshire Cat, right? Where Alice is lost and she's seeking directions from the Cheshire Cat, and the cat asks, "Where are you trying to get to?" And Alice says, "I don't care." And so the cat responds basically that if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there, right? That's what we're trying to avoid. We want to make sure that the entire team understands where we're going and how we're going to get there. Right? If you think about it, you know, to an extent, we bring new members on a little backwards sometimes, right? What would happen if new members learned why they should be a Husky before what we do? What things do we do today? What traditions exist because they support our why, and which exist just because they're traditions? So you don't have to put that in the chat, but something to think about, right? Is what things do we do just because we've always done them? And do they support why we're here as a team? So to that end, we're going to have a little bit of a warm-up conversation, right? If you want to go ahead and speak, raise your hand. Mr. Schmidt will pull you into the conversation, or you can put this in the chat. But if someone were to spend the day with the team, what would they notice that makes us special? What would they say? What makes us special? Nothing? So many mustaches. Oh,
If you're trying to raise your hand and aren't sure how, if you click on the React button in your toolbar, there's a little raise hand button there that you can click, and the chat's okay too. So, all right, there's Stefan's got his hand up.
go ahead,
Yeah,
Stefan.
sorry, I didn't know how to raise my hand. They would probably, if someone spent a day with our team, they'd notice how much our students lead and our how much our students lead our projects.
Right? That we're a student-led organization, which is not the norm or not, I guess, common. There are teams out there that behave a lot differently than we do.
There's a lot of good ideas in the chat too, Mr. Schultz.
Collaboration, community, we work well together, hands-on learning for students, plus they like our squirrels. Okay, there's a conversation there somewhere.
That's QC Elite Flaming Squirrels right there.
Teaching one another. Good one. So I
Sriram, did you want to? Oh, sorry.
oh,
Did
go
you want
ahead.
to jump in there?
Yeah, I was just gonna say like that. I think if someone spent a day with our team, they would notice how much like we're learning. Like we don't walk in to any of the meetings knowing everything on exactly what we're gonna do. But with like the mentorship from our mentors, talking with our team and kind of figuring it out with each other, we're able to like learn and understand and make a robot that goes to world. So I think that's like one of the biggest things someone would notice.
Cool. Thanks. So I did this activity with the captains a few weeks ago as well, because what you've all basically been describing are the building blocks of a vision, right? What we stand for, what we want to be. where we're going. And so with that, when we start thinking about a vision statement and what that vision statement is, um, the vision basically outlines, what it is we believe, that the impact that we want to make, right? Visions look forward, not backwards. They're about who we want to become. Vision statements are aspirational. Anybody know what aspirational means? Mr. John, I'm sure you're out there somewhere. Since I can't get a joke past you, let's find a definition.
There's a difference between being out there somewhere and knowing where the unmute button is. Yeah, aspirational is we hope to be able to become one day, and it's what we're constantly pushing ourselves to try to be. And that pushing is, if somebody fails, you don't yell at them for not meeting this aspirational goal. You help them up and you make it so that both of you have a better chance of moving towards this new place, this new thing that we want to get to, that we are always striving for. Does that answer your question?
Thank you very much. Yes,
All
it
right.
does, right?
You're welcome.
So vision statements are identifying a future state we may never actually get to, but always serve as a guide so we know we're going in the right direction, right? It's our compass. We always know where north is. So when we did this conversation with the captains, I asked them to pull a couple teams that they admired, that they thought were were good models of what they want to be. And two of the ones that came back were Citrus Circuits and Team Rush. And so you can see by looking at their vision statements, right? They're very future focused. They're very big in terms of their intent, what they want to accomplish. Right? Citrus Circus wants to transform communities, right? They want to inspire others through their commitment to excellence, engage people of all ages. Team Rush talks about being the gold standard in the world of K to 12 robotics. Plus, they talk about having this legacy of world renowned alumni, that people who leave their program, right, are recognized for that. Those are very aspirational, right? They may never get there, but it gives them a direction. It knows where they want to focus, what they want to be. Does that make sense? Anybody have questions on that? So, with that said, from the conversations with the captains, we adjusted our vision a little bit from what it has been. And I'll give you a minute to kind of read through this. Ignore the weird line breaks. I did that purposefully to kind of try and highlight some things from the vision, which we'll talk about in a second. Once you're done, post a reaction. What does this make you feel? Is it a good thing? Bad thing? Meh? Does it connect with you? Right? So I see some thumbs up, some hearts, some claps. I think that's what those are. Sweet. So one other thing you might notice, right? If we take a closer look at just one of the phrases from the vision, right? To inspire every student to learn, lead, and grow. On the surface, That sounds pretty clear, pretty straightforward, but it actually holds a lot of room for interpretation, right? Every student, who does that mean? Is it just current team members? Students of Naperville North? Naperville Central? Elementary school kids who we mentor? Students in other states? Other countries? And what does it mean to inspire them? Are we talking about direct teaching, setting an example, just giving people opportunities? I'm asking these questions not to try and wordsmith the vision statement, but to make sure that when we say this out loud, when we tell people what our vision is, that we all mean the same thing, that what we actually do connects back to this. So you may notice a few other phrases that kind of jump out, right? World-class robotics environment, building lasting skills, community impact, passion for excellence. We're going to dig into these in a second with a breakout. The numbers to the right, Mr. Schmidt, I don't know how many breakout rooms you're going to render here.
I've got 7 right now.
All right. So, and if I remember right, when you go into a breakout room, it's numbered, right? You know which number room you're going to?
I think so.
Okay, let's hope so.
Let's
It
hope
fl
so.
it flashes on the screen quickly.
Okay.
Okay.
So when you go into a room, remember the number you go to. And so that number on the right side, that's the part of the vision that you're going to talk about. All right. And so when you get there, this is what we'd like you to do. Using that phrase, what do you think that means in your own words? How do you think we live that today? Or do we? Maybe it's something we miss. But if it's something you think that we exhibit today, provide one or two examples. Be concrete, right? Don't make it very generic. How would someone outside of the team recognize this example, this thing, and connect it back to our vision? And if you have time, think about what we could do to make this more visible during the season. We're only going to have about 5 minutes in the breakout room, right? So you've got your work cut out for you. I'll go back one slide again if you want to take a screenshot or take a photo of it so you know which part of the vision your team is working on. But we should have 7, so we'll go 1 through 5, and then 6 will pop back to the top and do number 1, and 7 will do number 2. Mr. Schmidt, are you planning on sending guests into their own room, or will they be part of mixed with Huskie?
I had people somewhat paired up and mixed together a little bit. Does that
Uh,
seem all right with you?
yep, that's fine.
Great.
So, guests from other teams, if you want to think about your own vision statements and see if you can answer those questions, that would be great. And then oh, maybe you can't. If I'm presenting, I don't know if you can share this screen into the breakout rooms
So I
so they've
put
got the
into the
questions.
chat, I copy and pasted the
Oh,
4
I see
questions.
it.
So you have them in the
Sweet.
chat. And as a reminder of how this works, in 4 minutes, it's going to tell you, like, give you that 1 minute warning to wrap up. So you'll have plus 1 minute. So for the 5 minutes total that Mr. Schultz was talking about.
Cool.
And there's Mechanical Mustache's vision also in the chat for reference. So that can be same questions for that one. Very nice. Are you ready,
All
Mr.
right.
Schultz?
Fire away. All right, welcome back. Hopefully there was some conversation. Hopefully there was some good conversation in the rooms. Um, we're gonna we're gonna pick a couple. If you would, somebody from the room, just kind of give us a short summary of what the phrase was that you were focusing on, how you all define that, and perhaps an example. That would be great. Um, and given we're starting to run short on time, we'll just keep it to a couple groups. So let's maybe start with group 3. You had builds lasting skills, if I have done this properly. Anybody from group 3? Did you guys get through the questions?
Yeah, Rowan or Sriram, go ahead. I took notes, but I'd love to have students talk about what they did.
Me too.
We said that for building lasting skills, an important part of that was building skills that would not only help within someone's robotics career, but also into anything they want to do beyond high school.
Nice call. How about group 5?
Go ahead, Braden.
I was gonna say Brayton.
So our group, we kind of had an even split of the other team and then our team. We did talked about how during design reviews, like making sure like improving our robot every chance we can, and then they also said at competitions like reflecting even when things didn't go well, how can we improve for next time?
And just as a call out, you guys were talking about passion for excellence, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, did everybody have the same definition of that? Was everybody thinking about a passion for excellence in the same way?
Um, we didn't really. Um, I would say we didn't really define it, so to speak. We all kind of just assumed the definition of like getting better, doing the best we can. Doing basically every opportunity we can improve, we will improve.
Okay. All right. So keep that in mind as we move forward. We're going to circle back a little bit to this conversation in a minute, I think. So uh, the reason I was asking that last question is I suspect if there was some good conversation going on in some of those rooms, that the different members of each breakout probably had a slightly different interpretation of the same words. And that's normal, right? Every organization has this problem where people have their own interpretation of what they're reading and seeing and what a vision statement might mean. And so over time, people start to remember the what they do part, but forget the why they do part. And that's why our mission and objectives exist, is to try and give shared meaning to those words and help us turn those into action. And so if we look at a mission statement, right? Mission statements are the bridge between the why and the what, the actions, our values and the actions, right? The mission is how we get there, the work that we do every day to make the vision real. And again, if we take a look at Citrus Circuits and Team Rush, right, you can see that we start to get a little more clarity a little more definition about how they see these things coming into reality, right? Citrus Circuits talks about building a student-led, coach-based environment. They talk about developing local partnerships and community outreach and competing at the highest level possible. Team Rush talks about, again, right, creating a globally recognized robotics team by being excellent in competition, impactful in their STEM outreach, getting mentorship from industry leaders, right? We start to see that there's a little more focus, a little more direction, right? We take that kind of abstract vision that points us in a direction, and now we're starting to see how we're going to bring that to life. So again, talking with our captains, here's how we landed with the Husky Robotics mission statement. And again, as you read through that, right, I'll just highlight a few of the things that I thought made this unique and important, right? And some of this comes from some of the things you guys were saying in the chat as well, right? Cultivating a student-led environment, having members learn, lead, and grow together, engineering excellence, teamwork, community engagement, competitive robots, right? These things now start, they become less abstract, right? And start to point us in directions where we can actually do things and begin to take actions to make this happen. In the earlier activity, we looked at parts of the vision and we saw how the same words can mean different things to different people. The same thing can happen with a mission statement. Over time, we start focusing on visible results, the what, instead of whether those efforts actually move us toward the why, right? When this happens, we end up putting time and energy into things that look impressive, but don't really help the organization move forward. We burn effort and resources on things that feel important in the moment, but don't deliver lasting value. That's when teams start to drift. They're still working hard, but they're no longer pulling in the same direction, right? They're doing things outside of the why. As an example, uh, there was an FRC team I knew who spent weeks of effort trying to perfect a vision system, that worked fantastically. Smooth tracking, beautiful code, the whole 9 yards. But when they got to a competition, they ultimately realized that it didn't help them score any more points. The, the time and energy they put into that vision tracking system could have been put somewhere else to help them meet their goal, right? Of winning matches, of being a ranked team in the event. They ended up learning the hard way that success, excuse me, isn't just about doing cool things. It's about doing the right things. And so from then on, they started using a simple test before going in new directions, before trying new ideas, of asking themselves whether that was going to help them move closer to their goals. So think of a time, maybe on our team, maybe on another team, where someone had good intentions but ended up off track. What happened? What could have been done earlier to catch the drift? Again, you can raise your hand, you can put it in the chat if you want. This is more of a think about it moment. But part of that point is the bottom of that slide, right? That our captains and team leads are going to be setting direction, but I think it's everyone's responsibility to raise the flag if something feels off. If you're beginning to do work that doesn't align with the mission and vision of the team, maybe we've had a change in an objective, and maybe that work is now where we want to be. But don't hesitate to have that conversation and validate that the work that you're being asked to do is going to help the team. That's in benefit of our mission and vision. So if our mission is the anchor, the how we live out our why, our objectives and SMART goals are the rudder. They steer how we actually move that mission forward day to day. These statements define the what we're going to do to bring the mission to life. Our objectives help us focus our energy, track progress, and make choices about where to invest our time. They give shape to our mission, turning it from a big idea into a set of concrete actions that we can measure. So think of it like this. If our mission is our purpose, it shouldn't change often. Objectives are our priorities. They show how we're living the mission this season. And the goals are specific targets we aim for to achieve those objectives. Objectives are flexible. They shift when circumstances do. New rules, new challenges, new team composition, or maybe some new opportunity that we didn't see coming. Again, raise your hand or put it in the chat. But can you think of a time where one of our goals or priorities had to change mid-season? Not because we failed at something, but because something new changed what success looked like. I knew that one was coming. Braden with the 2024 robot. Anybody else? But that's a great example, right? We had our plan. We knew what we were doing. We were working the plan. And then what happened? We got a new set of notes that didn't behave the way the original set did. And it changed a whole lot about the way we were thinking about our robot. Right? Our mission was still the same. Our objectives were roughly the same, but our goals had to change to meet that new reality. Yeah, whacking 15 pounds out of a robot. Thanks, Lauren. So that kind of change is normal, right? Staying aligned with the mission doesn't mean our objectives can't evolve. It doesn't mean we have to stay lockstep with the goals that we set, even though they don't help us anymore. It means we have to keep checking that what we're doing still serves the mission, even when conditions change. So as we start thinking about this year's goals, remember our mission. Our mission gives us direction. Our objectives and SMART goals give us traction. We talked about our mission, our how. So here's the bridge between our mission and action, our objectives. Objectives translate purpose into focus. They take the long-term why and turn it into where we're aiming right now. A lot of these, at least from a title perspective, should look familiar. Right? We tried not to change them significantly, and the way the vision and mission fell out, a lot of these stayed fairly consistent. I think the change you'll see is in the way the detail of each of these objectives is worded. So if you look at strengthening our robotics family, right, this one's about making sure everyone, new members, veterans, mentors, feel valued, supported, and empowered. When we say family, we mean a culture where people learn from each other, lead each other, and have each other's backs. Build and sustain community relationships. We're talking about the fact that Husky Robotics doesn't stop at our workshop door. Our mission reaches into classrooms, local events, partnerships, and even other states or countries. This objective challenges us to strengthen those relationships, to think about the impact we leave behind. Prepare the team for the future. Again, every year, a quarter of our team graduates, right? If this was a company, we would be bankrupt, right? No company can operate that way. Preparing for the future means building systems and developing leaders who will carry the mission forward, not just for this season, but for years to come. It's about sustainability, not just success. And pursuing competitive advantage or excellence, excuse me, you know, we compete to win, but we win the right way. This objective is about pushing the boundaries of what's possible while modeling integrity, innovation, and gracious professionalism. Competitive excellence isn't just about trophies, it's about doing world class work and world class values. These objectives define what we'll do to bring our mission to life this season. They'll guide how we set our SMART goals next week, goals that turn purpose into measurable action. I know we are running out of time, so I think we will skip over this breakout, but I would like you to think about this over the next few days. Right? If you think about those objectives and the definition of those objectives, how do you see that showing up in the team today? And what's one thing that you can do this season to strengthen it? And we're going to pass this over now to Mr. Gupta, do a quick conversation on SMART goals, and we will be almost done.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. So yeah, let's talk about the key element of what we all will be doing for the rest of the season or following the goals. So we have talked about the mission, and the vision, the why behind Husky Robotics, and why each one of you is part of this team. And of course, we have talked about the objectives, which all of us will be focusing on in this season. And in order to make the objectives actionable, we have to define some goals within each of those four sections we have just covered. So I know a lot of you guys have already started off defining some goals, but and familiar with SMART goal, but let's revisit that, because SMART goals is what essentially turns all of these elements, objectives, big ideas into clear steps. And for that, we need to break it down into each of this section, which says we're not just saying what we'll do, here's a task, here is a way to improve, but we are saying exactly how we'll do it, by when, and defining it very clearly using these acronym of SMART. Interestingly, I had a goal to run this session with Mr. Schultz today, but apparently I missed one of the last elements, which is T, making sure I'm aware of the time. So, so it's one of those elements which you need to be smart about. So what does SMART stand for? SMART is being specific about the goal, not just saying we will go and do some FLL event. You're talking about being very specific. How many events we'll do, how many workshops we'll do. Being measurable, you're saying, whether it will be 1, 3 events, you're calling out the specific amount. It is achievable. You're not just simply setting a goal which is unrealistic by saying, we'll be going to do 15 FLL events, which we know we can't possibly do with the time, and achievable in the interest of time, and relevant to the mission and objectives. The relevance is equally important because it has to tie to the objectives behind what we want to do. And of course, the critical element is time bound. You can say, I want to learn something, but if you don't put a goal, you'll always start to move the needle outside, everything else. So by being very specific, you end up being very targeted in your outcome. So essentially, when we have these SMART goals, we have a clear way to tie it back to the mission. Every task which we do on a daily basis, we are going to help each other in order to achieve the goal itself and get closer to the why behind Husky Robotics and the team. So I think we have run out of time, but within, for example, the aspect of building and sustaining community relationship, we may have specific goals, again, based on how many events we want to do and workshop. In order to prepare for the team for the future, we might say, let's be very specific on certifying every team member and having leaders for the future. So all of these are examples of how you might turn a specific goal into a very measurable SMART goal in order to pursue excellence and be the best robotics team, both in regionals and the World Championship. So that's a quick summary, but I don't know, Mr. Schultz, we want to do some more examples for the session since we're out of time.
We can hang around for a few minutes if people want to go through that. Just to do a quick wrap up. Again, if you're going to take something away from this conversation, the purpose of a vision and mission statement is to keep us focused, to ensure that our efforts are aligned in the right places. Objectives help us ensure that we're doing the right things now, and SMART goals help make that mission real. So as you leave tonight, just think about one idea that you'll take back to your sub team. And then next Monday, the captains will be leading a group through a goal refinement session. And so we'll get a little bit more detail into, I think, the team level goals at that point. Probably not sub team level stuff, but we'll be working on that over the next few weeks as well with each of the sub teams individually. Any questions from anyone? Comments? Again, if you want to hang out for a few minutes and talk SMART goals, I'll be happy to do that.
So to provide some clarity, next Monday, the captains will meet with the Husky Robotics folks to do specific goal setting for that. But for our guests from Flying Squirrels and Mechanical Mustaches, we'd love to have you join us again on November 10th, as well as the 2 Mondays after that. November 10th, we're focused on workshop organizing and decluttering. And then the following 2 weeks is crucial conversations and crucial influence. I'm also going to put in the chat right now. We would really love people to share some feedback on this session and just this whole series of sessions in general. What should we keep doing? What should we consider fixing? What should we consider trying for next time? So that's our keep, fix, try reflection. And there's a link there that should be accessible to everyone to edit and leave ideas and feedback for us as well. So I definitely want to thank Mr. Schultz and Mr. Gupta for sharing their expertise and wisdom with us on a super important topic as we look toward the build season.